Joanne Lawson. Here. John Carpenter. And Scott Wagner.
Guess we got to press the buttons too. All right.
Okay.
All right. The only item on our regular agenda is case number 24-103 BZA. Mr. Jones, I believe you have a presentation for us.
Yes, Chairman, and I would like to add the staff report as part of the official record.
Kip, I think, was there minutes?
No minutes tonight, nope.
Okay.
So this is a request for two variances, one to exceed the width to depth ratio of a lot, and one not to meet the road frontage requirement for a lot. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Let's talk about the property, how it is currently. So it's outlined in red on the screen. It is approximately 40 acres, zoned agricultural. It has access from 192nd Street and has approximately 165 feet of road frontage. You can see that the road kind of curves right there at the corner. So the road does not go in front of the whole parcel. There are some structures on the parcel. That blue square that just showed up there is the house, and these two red squares are the accessory buildings. This accessory building here is the old tobacco barn that you have a photo of in your transmittal. So let's talk about what the applicant's wanting to do. They are wanting to divide the 40 acres into two 20-acre lots. They would be able to remain zoned agricultural because they meet the 20-acre minimum. The access to the road frontage wouldn't change. There would be a proposed access easement to that back lot because, again, the road frontage is right there. So in this scenario, lot number 2 actually meets the county code. It is 20-plus acres. It is served by a 60-foot wide access easement. And so if these variances are approved, part of the planning and zoning case will include that access easement and a shared driveway agreement between the two lots. But lot number 1 requires two variances. One to the minimum amount of road frontage, which for lots 5 acres and greater is 300 feet. So it's about 135 feet short of that. And then number 2, which is what this arrow is showing, is the width to depth of the lot. So the width to depth is measured from the midpoint of the road frontage to the midpoint of the back property line. And so the easy way to think about it is if you have 165 feet of road frontage, you take that number times 4, that's the maximum depth that lot can be. In this case, that's 660 feet. It's closer to 1,300. So we're looking at basically a 1-to-8 ratio rather than a 1-to-4 ratio, which is allowed by the code. So let's talk about the land development code a little bit, because these two variance requests come specifically from the land development code. We'll talk about the comp plan here in a minute, but the two sections of code are section 151-8.4A, which says the width to depth ratio of any lot shall not exceed 1-to-4. Section 151-4.4C shows that highlighted area where it says minimum lot width 300 feet at the build line. So that's the minimum road frontage for the lot. Every month that we have a case, we talk about the 4 variance criteria. These are very important. The burden of proof is on the applicant to show how they meet these 4 criteria. The first one states that the variance request arises from conditions that are unique to the subject property, not ordinarily found in the same zoning district, and not a result of the owner's intentional actions. Second criteria states that the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the public interest or adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners. The third criteria states that the request for the variance shall constitute a practical difficulty if the applicant does not receive it upon the property owner. And the fourth one states that it should not affect the public health, safety, or general welfare, nor destroy the intent of the comprehensive plan. So let's talk about comprehensive plan, because sometimes there's some confusion between the comp plan and the land development code. So the comp plan is the overall guide for development in the unincorporated section of Clay County. We are still currently on the 2008 comp plan. Now, you're aware that we're in the process of updating the comp plan with the hope of adopting that new comp plan by the end of the year. So currently, this area is a 5+ acre lot area, as long as you meet all those other requirements in the land development code. The 300 feet of road frontage, you can't exceed the 1:4 width to depth ratio. You have to put utility easements around the outside. There's all kinds of additional requirements. Now, the final plan of the updated comp plan, or the redo of the comp plan that's going to go out for public review next month, is turning this into a 20+ acre area. So staff does not have heartburn about this destroying the intent of either the existing nor the future comp plan, because I think with the lot sizes, that's generally what the comp plan deals with, is lot sizes, land use. With this staying zoned agricultural, 20+ acres, there's not a whole lot of heartburn from staff on the comprehensive plan. Now let's look at the surrounding area a little bit. That is the subject parcel there. Anything that has color, like that light green color, is ag zoning. So, and this area up here, that is Clinton County. So it's the far northern portion of Clay County. It's a largely agricultural area. There is a little bit of residential zoning in the yellow and the orange, but it's mainly an undeveloped area. Some additional information. We've received multiple questions from the public. We went through our public notice requirements, which in this case, we sent letters to property owners within 2,000 feet. To get to that cutoff of 25, we sent 31 letters, and the applicant has provided a letter addressing the criteria and some pictures of the property as well. Again, these are those variance criteria that, again, the burden of proof is on the applicant to show that they meet those criteria. I would like to add that Shane did do the research on these two sections of code. They first appear in the 1972 version of the code, so it is not a new rule or regulation. And staff believes that these two rules are in place because they help promote uniform lots. By having that minimum width and the maximum depth, it helps us create square developable lots. It also provides adequate road frontage, so we can make sure there's safe accesses. We don't want to limit it to 50 feet or 100 feet of road frontage where you go driveway, 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 where it becomes a traffic hazard. And we believe the minimum lot width also helps create a lot that's developable. So we're trying to get away from those, we call them piano key style lots, where there's just a bunch of really skinny lots off the road frontage, and people have trouble developing those with the placement of the house, accessory building, septic, geothermal. So the lot width requirement gives a little more room to develop. So the applicant is present and would like to make comments, and then staff is happy to answer any questions that you have as well.
Okay. Well, let's start with questions.
The one question I had, you said that no letters came back that were adverse to this?
We have not received any
Good.
stated letters of objection. There may be some folks here tonight that want to make some comments, but nothing in writing.
Okay.
Question I have, and this is the map that I want to see. So if I understand correctly, Kip, there's no problem with the lot that is marked number 2.
Correct.
We got 2 problems with the one marked number 1. And I guess, so that I understand, the issue is that 165 feet of frontage, and then the depth of the lot, or width to depth rather. Although when I look at both lots, they would seem to be of a similar width and depth. So can you help me understand why 2 is, actually the colors should be different, because green means go, which means that's number 2. Red means stop, which should be number 1. So explain that, and hopefully I'm not colorblind, but if you can explain that to me, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, so the difference is lot 1 has access to the road. So if these 2 lots were in behind another lot that had 300 feet of road frontage and met all the requirements, and these two were served by a 60-foot wide access easement, they would all meet. But the code is specific that you must, if you have road frontage for lots that are greater than 5 acres, you must have 300 feet.
Okay, so the fact that you have the easement going through one into the second resolves that particular issue for lot number 2.
Yes, and we looked at other ways to divide this to try to fit it within the code. We could not come up with one that didn't either not correlate with the comprehensive plan or not require variances. But I get your point. The way the code says you measure lot width is at the build line, the front build line. And that front build line stops when the road frontage stops. So this parcel here is a little bit unique because it doesn't stop right there. It continues. So it is technically wider than what a normal lot would be if it only had 165 feet of road frontage.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll leave that there for a moment. Any other questions of Mr. Jones? You're good. Then why don't we do our applicant next? And I believe I'm required to swear you in. So for anyone who is here to speak, whether you are the applicant or anyone else who may wish to speak a little bit later when we get to public testimony, if you do me a favor and just raise your right hand and repeat after me or answer, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
That's good enough for me. Is that good enough for you, Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir.
All right, very well. So I understand you must be the applicant.
I am not the applicant. My name's Martin Mueller. I'm the land surveyor that is doing the surveying for the applicant. The applicant is Ann Case, who's sitting here.
Okay.
And so I'd be willing, any questions or, I've been doing this for 35 years, and this is kind of a unique situation, the way this ground sets, and you don't run into this very often.
Well, if you can maybe speak a little bit more to that, because certainly one of the 4 criteria that we have to look at is the uniqueness of this situation. Thank you. The uniqueness of the situation and the property. So if you can maybe speak a little bit to that, that would be great.
Sure. So the uniqueness of it is, from a surveyor's standpoint, is that it only has this 165 foot of frontage, and that it's been like she's owned it for 30 years, and so that's kind of a unique situation in itself. For Ann, she wants to keep the tobacco barn, and there's a foundation out there, and she's wanting to build and out there on that piece of ground. And I think the intent is a friend of hers is going to build on that to help her with her farm. And I've been out there. She's got Holstein cows and chickens, and has this organic farm, and that's, the uniqueness of it is in her letter that she did, that her response to that is she's wanting to preserve the tobacco farm and build a foundation for a house. And for me, it's unique because of the 165 square lineal foot along the roadway. That's unusual for any property. A lot of them, I think, like Kip said, the intent was to keep properties from being 100 foot wide but super long to get 10 acres. And this particular case, it doesn't have that. They're rectangles, and they're each 20 acres, and it's just unique because it has the 165 foot of frontage.
Gotcha. Any questions?
Yeah, I do. Couple of questions. First of all, is she going to be living, the person who owns, she owns all of the land.
Yes.
She's going to be living on lot 1?
2.
Oh, on 2, okay.
Until the house.
You're going to have a lot to talk about shortly, so I'll invite you to do that. So if
So
you
I
prefer
don't
to.
know. I haven't asked her that question, which She currently lives on where Lot 2, the house where
Oh, okay,
where
okay.
2 is. So she's lived there for 30 years.
And then someone's going to buy Lot 1, right? Okay. And so here's the only thing I think about, and I'd like you to think about, is we've seen many shared driveways go very, very wrong. And and kind of the way it came in there kind of surprised me, but is there something existing that already comes that way? Oh, okay,
Yes.
that makes sense
That's the
then.
existing drive, and the lay of the land, that road follows the lay of the land. To move that road would be fairly difficult because it slopes off. It's
Oh,
kind
okay.
of right at a good lay of the land.
Okay, that's fine. All right, well, and so, you know, I really, this is the most unique situation, I think, of this type we've ever run into since I've done this. But just that little bit of frontage there, you don't really have a lot of choice. And if she's already living on 2, you know, the only thing, and she's going to sell 1, I mean, I don't see any way, unless the county builds a new road across the whole front of both pieces of property, and we're not going to do that. So I think that you know, this is the best of both worlds. But will it, on Lot 1, you kind of didn't answer my question in a way. On Lot 1, will there be another home there?
Yes.
Okay,
And she intends
okay.
to build another home on Lot 1.
She's going to build a home on,
Well, there's going to be one built. And the barn is the main thing right now to save.
Okay.
Since we're letting the cat out of the bag, why don't you come forward to the
Yeah,
microphone?
come
so
on up.
everyone- Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know all the answers
Okay.
for that.
yeah, good.
And go ahead and introduce yourself as well. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sorry.
Kind of give me an explanation of when it's all said and done, how's it going to look?
Okay. Hi, my name is Judith Ann Case. Sorry to get up there sooner. Basically, I wanted 2 lots. My sister is going to probably build a house on Lot 1. And I live in Lot 2.
Okay,
And there's really, the way the road was made or built, when the house is built, is like Martin said, it's really hard to imagine in any other way because of the lay of it. There's an old tobacco barn, which I feel is really essential to Clay County history, and I want to restore that. I've already put on a new roof and stuff like that. So that's the purpose, is so that I can maintain my lifestyle there, and my sister can be there, and you know, I can continue to maintain my life, my living there.
all right.
And this is my sister.
And any other questions?
No other questions?
Okay.
No.
I might, since you're here now, I might go ahead and ask a couple of other things. First, related to the what are termed the historic buildings on the site. Is the expectation to, based on the pictures I saw, they're somewhat dilapidated, it appears.
Oh, yeah, it's left.
So is the idea to improve those over time, just to have that improvement? Is there some thought of at some point making them available to the public to look at? What's kind of your...
You know, I had really thought about making it available, but that's always, I guess, a possibility. Reality is I just wanted to maintain it, and I put, like I said, I put a new roof on it. The foundation is strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just finding some barnwood to fix what's there.
It's just to fix the aesthetics of the structures and all that, okay.
But I am using it for hay storage and, you know, maybe a cow or 2 at some point.
Okay. And then this may be more of a staff question, but it does strike me that since you're sisters and presumably you have a good time during the major holidays, is there a need, and maybe the code would require it, where if one were to build another house on the 40 acres, you really couldn't do that. You would have to split it in order to allow for that to happen?
Yeah, so the basic rule is one house per parcel, the exception to that being an accessory dwelling unit, which is designed to be like a mother-in-law's quarters, a
Right.
smaller version of a house that has to meet a list of like 15 stipulations. It can only be so big, has to be within 100 feet of the main structure. So that's the only exception.
Gotcha, gotcha. So for all intents and purposes, this is the proper channel because of the type of house
And
that...
there were, I'm sorry, didn't interrupt.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
It was an old house, and the foundation is still there,
Right.
and that's where it would be.
Gotcha. Yeah, and, no, that's fine. So, the historic structures, including the barn, and I know, or Kip, I don't know if you can bring those locations of the other structures just to kind of see how they lay on both of these. Oh, okay. So, the barn would go to number one, lot number one.
So the tobacco barn would be on the lot on the east side. The blue square, which is the house, and the barn on the north side would be part of the lot on the west. I forgot our numbering here, but
Gotcha. No, I think I...
yeah, 2.
Yeah, I think I got you. I thought, okay. Okay.
It was-
Anything else you want to
I
add?
was just gonna say, it was divided so that the barn would be on the new lot.
Gotcha. Okay. And you're okay with that? Okay, fair enough. I don't think I have any more questions at this point, do you?
I do not.
Okay. Anything else you would like to add before I let
Unless
you?
you have other questions.
Not yet. I think we've got some folks who had raised their hand to give some testimony, so I'll give them an opportunity, and thank you both very much. So if there is anyone who would like to give any testimony, please come on forward. And the microphone is on for you, so when you come forward, just please state your name, kind of your relationship to the property, and then let us know what you need to tell us.
My name is David Bush, and I'm an adjoining landowner. My land borders and cases on the north, halfway across our north boundary line, and then it borders all of the west boundary line.
Gotcha.
I don't have any real objections, but I do have some concerns about this. And basically, the concerns that I would have is that over the years that I've owned my property, which is 21 years, there has been a number of times that cattle have gotten out of her compound, and I'm not sure the fence meets the county or state code, and I think that needs to be evaluated. It's happened enough times that unfortunately it's created a little friction on a couple of occasions. I'm willing to get past that, but I would like some changes to be made because, number one, it cost me some income. 2 years ago, I had 3 hunters that were going to hunt on the property on an experimental basis. If they liked what they saw, they were going to come back and pay me significant money to hunt, possibly for a number of years. And that was in the fall of 2022. And when they got up in the stand that first morning, a cow come down and bedded near one of their stands, and they said, that's all. I don't want to mess with it. So I had a definite loss of income from that. It's hard to find people you know and trust that you want out there watching your land. I was unable to hunt myself due to some physical issues at the time, and this would have been a good opportunity for a little bit of management of my resource. The other thing is that I'm going to be expending a decent amount of money with the assistance of the NRCS to do some reforestation with forest burns, forest mulching, planting of new plants on that west timbered portion and across that north portion. And we're going to go in there and try to kill out the invasives such as honeysuckle and wild rose and autumn olive. And I really would be quite perturbed if after spending this money, if cattle come running across the property. So I think we need to address that in a satisfactory manner. I've already talked to Mr. Jones here, and he's agreed to have me be in contact with somebody. If we can address that issue, I'm sure things could be made better. I used to grow food plots, but the cows would get into the food plots, so I had to quit doing that. Ann's land practices should not infringe on mine. So if we can come to an agreement on how to do that, then I don't have any problem.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question of Kip. What are the regulations if you have a fence line that's shared like this one is, and it's her fence line in essence, then what responsibility does she have by code to have that as secure a fence as she can to keep her critters inside?
Yes, so good question. So the Land Development Code references back to the state statute, which basically has some maintenance or repair requirements. There have to be posts certain amount of feet, and it has to be kept in an orderly manner. So I became aware of this just right before the meeting. So I spoke with this gentleman, gave him contact information for our code inspector, and we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
To see if there's any issues there. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned it when I gave my report or not. This is step one for this case. If the variances get approved tonight, there will be a planning and zoning case to actually subdivide the property. It does not need to be rezoned because each lot will be 20 plus acres. And then if we do find code violations, that will be one of the conditions on the planning and zoning case to be corrected before the plat could be recorded, is how we
Great.
would handle it.
Great. And that'll solve that problem for you.
I want to point out that I do not have cattle on my property nor intend to. I'm more conservation minded, and in doing that, I want to keep cattle off my property.
Sure.
And according to the statute that I read, and we can investigate this further, that the landowner with cattle bears the responsibility of fencing in their livestock, not me having to fence their livestock out.
Right.
So we need to address that in coming to some kind of an agreement.
Yes, that's definitely right. I mean, and those of us who have horses, cows, whatever, you know, to me, I know my animals, I want them to be staying on my property. I don't want to be chasing them off somewhere else. And the fact that they can get hurt, whatever else might happen. So, but I agree with you. I firmly believe, I don't see this as a big problem as far as the land and all of that and the development and letting her go ahead and have the variance. But I do feel that that will have to be a condition that the fence has to be upgraded and maintained so it keeps the animals inside and off of your property.
Something
Yeah.
else my hunters pointed out to me before they left and discussed 2 years ago is they said, we can't be responsible for an accident on your property. And I said, what do you mean? Like if a cow gets wounded or shot and us trying to take a deer? And so I'm saying the same thing. If their cows are out during the hunting season, which runs for quite a long time, I don't want to be held responsible
Right.
for anything that might happen.
Yep. Okay.
Anything further?
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Case, I'll let you respond to that in just a little bit. I will just point out, to follow up on Mr. Jones' comment, that our job this evening is to really look at the property and whether it needs to be split. As he points out, the other issues come later, in which case the issue around fencing and relieving the issue that's just been presented to us gets dealt with there. So understanding what those issues are important for us, but there are some that we don't necessarily resolve. And you can still respond to that at some point if others have other things to say, but just want to put that out there. What we deal with is this list that Mr. Jones has put in front of us.
Yeah.
But we do want to be cognizant of other issues and try to figure out how and when those get addressed. So I'll just leave it there. Are there others who want to give public testimony? Please, sir, come forward.
My name is Randy Simmons. I border the property to the north of the new subdivision, part one.
Sure.
your letters that you sent out were not very clear, whoever sent them out, because when we got one I see here, it says a subdivision. And for those of us that own property anywhere in North Clay County, subdivision's a bad word.
Right.
So Ann's my neighbor. She and I have known each other a long time. I've got no problem with the division as it stands. The one concern I do have, the picture that you have up there does not show what happens to the north side of her property. It drops down off a bluff. The one concern I would have, and I'm sure that your experts could fix this, is what happens to the sewage. Because if it drops off that edge, we have a problem. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
It's kind of unrelated to what you guys are deciding tonight, but as far as the fences go on her property, we went through and got all the four-strand fixed, all the posts are spaced right.
Introduce yourself, please. I'm
My
sorry.
name is Christopher Olson.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that. So basically, we went through the woods, got all the four-strand fixed. Her husband got real old. I don't know when the cows started getting out. The fences were in bad shape. Now there's no cows getting out, and all the way around the perimeter of the property, as they'll check when they come, it's four-strand tight. There's some spots that are 5. So, yeah, that'd be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Any further comments, Ms. Case, that you would care to make? No? Any further comments, Mr. Jones?
No, sir, not unless you have questions.
All right, well, I'll take it back to our dynamic duo here. Commissioner, any further questions or comments that you have?
No, none.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion if you have one to offer.
Okay, I make a motion that we grant the variance. And can we, once we grant that variance though, then it does go to the regular board, and then they set any other requirements, right?
It will actually be a administrative case that staff would review, but we
Okay.
would put conditions on it just like we would any normal case.
Okay, okay. Well, then I make the motion that we grant the variance.
All right, I will second that motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. So the next step then is it will go through that administrative review with Mr. Jones. I trust that the issues related to the fencing that have been brought up this evening, and there have been, as we understand, some work that has been done already, but I trust that those fences, the old saying, what is the old saying? Good fences make good neighbors, is that
Yes.
correct? So we will make sure that we have a good neighborhood by making sure we have those good fences.
Yeah, and I would just like to recommend folks to reach out to us if they have questions. Our number is on that letter that was sent out, and we will send additional letters with the subdivision. And we call it a subdivision because that's what the code calls it, a
Correct.
subdivision.
Sure.
It is a subdivision of land,
Even
so
if
you
it's
will
a-
get another letter that says subdivision of land.
Even if it's a subdivision of one, right?
Yeah.
It's still that. And I trust during that examination as well, the issue that's been brought up related to sewage and how that is resolved is also discovered.
Yeah, so the new lot will have to apply for a building permit. A new septic system would be required for that new house.
Okay, and that's
Good.
satisfactory?
Good.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, then that takes us through our regular agenda item. We're now on to other business or director comments. I have no other business nor any comments, but Shane?
Yeah, so there will not be a meeting next month. We will be in touch with you guys whenever we get the next application. And
Okay.
that's all we got for.
Well,
for our
don't get
comments.
in any hurry. No, I'm kidding. Thank you very much, fantastic. That takes us to the end of our agenda, and so we are adjourned.
Okay.
Good job, good job.
He's a nice kid. His dad.
Oh, is that so?